Attention, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and droids across the galaxy. Welcome aboard the new and renovated deadliest Star Destroyer this galaxy has ever seen. And I got a video for you all today that's been on the back burner for so long. But while we get everything nice and settled in, I figured, you know what? Let's go ahead and pop out this video. And that video today, ladies and gentlemen, is in regards to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and basically soloing every single team in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of an asterisk next to that. At the end of the video, you'll see the only one team that he cannot seem to beat, and that is him himself. So other than that, this character is an extremely powerful offensive tool. I know Rey steals the show for the most part. If I had to pick right now, if I only can have Rey or Kylo, I'd pick Rey. She's the more annoying character of the bunch right now, the most difficult character to beat in Grand Arena, as well as Territory Wars, as well as Squad Arena. That could change in the future with the new release of the game mode, but Supreme Leader Kylo has a much higher ceiling, in my opinion, than Rey. And today you're going to see that he can solo Grievous teams, Nightsister teams, and if you add Wat Tambor, he can solo some raid teams out there, General Anakin Skywalkers, and a lot of other stuff. So let's go ahead, roll the footage, and show you what we got today, because I know there are some people who'd rather have Kylo or want a reason to chase after Kylo. And this footage is going to show you today. Originally, this footage I've had for a long time now. Started off when I was on Twitch. I ran into a Grand Arena, and I was like, oh boy, I'm just going to try this out. And trying this out against Nightsisters, Asajj Ventress, Kylo can solo through it. Going through General Grievous, Kylo can solo through. And then afterwards, a lot of the footage was me battling up against one of my shard mates, Donema. You guys might know them from our live stream. Thank you so much for planting some of these teams on defense so I could show the community the possibilities of Kylo, because I feel like Kylo definitely gets shafted in appreciation compared to Galactic Legends race. So this whole video is going to be talking about why you might want to get Kylo if this is something you might be interested in, because let me tell you, it is unheard of having a one-person solo against General Grievous, a one-person solo up against Darth Revan, and that gets you a lot of big banners, especially for Grand Arena. Now, of course, the problem that we run into is Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. His number one purpose is to try to help you counter Galactic Legends raid. So here we go. We're going up against General Grievous right here, and I was mind blown when I tried this out for the first time. Grievous and the Separatist droids, they have a lot of turn meter gains. They have a lot of damage output. I was worried about Droidica burning through my Supreme Leader Kylo. It did nothing. We were able to get through General Grievous with no problem. Now, moving beyond this, we go up against Nightsisters, and normally trying to solo a Nightsister team, you're asking for something bad to happen. But fortunately, because of Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's unique ability, Press the Advantage, anytime a dark side ally is losing turn meter, they're gaining 10% of their max health, and they're also getting 10% max protection until the end of the battle. And the thing about Asajj Ventress and the Nightsisters is that they do so much turn meter removal, especially under the Asajj Ventress lead. And furthermore, Supreme Leader Kylo prevents revive. So against Nightsisters, no problem right there. And really, these were the two battles that we started the litmus test, and moving on forward, you'll start seeing the rest of the battle Supreme Leader Kylo can solo. And then we'll talk about what teams you might want to consider having Wat Tambor, because there comes a point where Kylo can't do it all by himself. He needs something to help him out with the survivability aspect. But so far, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren takes out a lot of great teams that we're going to notice, even without the help of Wat Tambor. Now, when you're running into battle and you're going through a solo, most likely you don't want to 100% auto it. You want to make sure you give yourself full control over Kylo Ren, mainly because you need to make sure you're putting the buff communities in the right place. You need to make sure you're getting the stun locks in the right place. For example, we're walking into a Darth Revan battle right here. You need to make sure you take out Bastila Shan Fallen as fast as possible. She should be the number one priority. So I'm not saying this is a full auto solo for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. You need to kind of have your hands on the beast and tame him and tell him where you want to go. Once you take out Bastila Shan Fallen, you don't have to worry about all the ability block mechanics, the shock, and then afterwards, it's pretty easy peasy from there on out. Also, if you're running into some tanks, like you might have noticed in, for example, up against Nightsisters, you want to try to land a buff immunity on the Nightsister zombie. Going into a Jedi Knight Revan battle, you definitely want to make sure you take out Bastila Shan as fast as possible. The ability blocks are one of the biggest counters to Galactic Legends right now, and especially in the 5v5. 3v3 is a whole different beast. We're not going to get into that conversation, but ability blocks are so important. That's why you want to try to take out things like Bastila Shan as early as possible. So once you get rid of the ability block, you can use all of your specials, because if you can't use your specials, you kind of run into a little bit of a pickle. Then with your Furious Onslaught, once you start stun locking the enemies that cause you big problems, Jedi Knight Anakin's gonna be one of them, we're gonna see in a second. Fast Lashan's gonna be another one of them. You need to make sure you're using Furious Onslaught to your advantage. Now, a lot of these battles, you're gonna notice you don't need the ultimate ability for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren to solo a lot of teams. Eventually, when we get to the more top tier teams like General Anakin Skywalker, it's basically mandated that you have the ultimate ability. But you need to make sure you're using Furious Onslaught to reduce the opposing enemy stats and make sure you're increasing your own stats, because the whole goal of this is Supreme Leader Kylo is able to survive as long as possible, and his damage is going to scale. So the longer the battle goes, it works to his benefit. And that's where the benefit of Supreme Leader Kylo is, where Rey is more like steady, consistent performance. It kind of maybe ekes up a little bit if you're getting bonus turn meter, but for the most part, Rey's a pretty consistent high floor, I should say. Kylo Ren starts off pretty low, and then he starts ramping up. It's all exponential once he starts getting ramped up. So that's why you need those stacks of Siphon from the Stasis Strike. Then you want to take advantage of them with Furious Onslaught. When you're going up against Padme, as you saw, make sure you stun like Jedi Knight Anakin. Take him out of the picture. The healing immunity is definitely going to be a big problem, and the buff immunity from Jedi Knight Anakin. But once you take out Jedi Knight Anakin up against Padme, easy peasy. We don't know of any team that can have a one-person solo up against Padme, Grievous, all these teams, especially Padme. You need at least a couple people in there. You're able to completely solo Padme with just Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren does shine. He does shine in a lot of areas of the game here. Now, in a moment, we're going to be getting to some Wat Tambor gameplay. There comes a point where there's too much oncoming damage from the opposing team. Fast teams with lots of oncoming damage start becoming a problem, and that's where we're going to run into things like Shaak Ti Galactic Republic. Oddly enough, I didn't see myself soloing Shaak Ti and clones because they're so fast out the gate. You don't have Hux helping you control the turn meter, and they blast you with heavy single fire and massive assist damage. So moving forward, we're going to eventually want to dip into Wat Tambor, and especially one piece of tech. Now, you might be thinking, oh, you're going to give them the Blast Tech Weapon mod, because the Blast Tech Weapon mod, as we know, gives you extra turn meter as well as letting you have extra damage up. But the main problem is, we kind of mentioned the Kylo Ren unique ability a little bit earlier. You don't want to have a lot of turn meter gain, because as you're getting turn meter gain, dark side allies are going to be losing their max health and protection. So with Supreme Leader Kylo, you don't want to be running that. Instead, what I found to be incredibly helpful is the Chihuahua Med Pack, and that allows you to recover 5% health and protection at the start of every character's turn. And he's not a Scepter, so he doesn't get the bonus protection. This is where Kylo's going to get the most benefit out of, especially going up against General Anakin Skywalker. Now, General Anakin Skywalker, it's almost mandated, I'd say. You need that ultimate ability. Without the ultimate ability, Kylo Ren, even in a 5v5 situation, Kylo Ren is at a severe disadvantage compared to General Anakin Skywalker without that ultimate ability. The ultimate ability basically seals the deal that he can at least two-man solo, I guess technically. It's still kind of a solo. He's kind of going in it, do it all by himself. Wat Tambor is just giving the tech and then piecing out from there. But you need that ultimate ability, because General Anakin Skywalker lands those critical hits, and when you're getting critically hit, your cooldowns are being increased, and you can't use your Stasis Strike. You can't use your AoE ability. You can't use your Siphon mechanics. So that's why it's important to have that ultimate ability on Supreme Leader Kylo, not just for the solo aspect of it all, but in general in the 5v5. And it's incredibly important, if you want to try to solo General Anakin Skywalker because you're a ballsy person like that, you need to make sure you have a Stasis Strike ready to go on General Anakin Skywalker at the beginning when he's about to stand up, or you want to try to get into that ultimate stance before General Anakin Skywalker comes up for the final showdown. Wat Tambor is going to be incredibly helpful moving on through these more powerful teams, and eventually, yes, you'll see Supreme Leader Kylo Ren solo a Rey team. Galactic Legends Rey with the help of Wat Tambor, so he can stack up his health and protection. Now, I don't know if I'm going to 100% advise doing this, because one, there are so many variants of Rey in the game. Supreme Leader Kylo might solo some of them, but there's a lot of unknown ones that we still have not come across, and some known ones that maybe I never had a chance to test that Supreme Leader Kylo might not be able to solo. But as you're going to see eventually with the footage, Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, if you give him the med pack, he's going to keep having a steady stream of health and protection, because they're going to bring big damage. Sudden Whirlwind, Rey might go into her ultimate stance. If there's an ultimate Rey, most likely you're going to want to have your own ultimate Kylo, because there's a good chance Rey can just dump a massive amount of damage when Kylo's all by himself. So there's a lot of things in place, and some variants in Squad are going to run General Anakin Skywalker, and that might make things a little bit trickier As we know, General Anakin Skywalker increases cooldowns, and if Kylo Ren can't get these big specials off, you're going to run into a little bit of a problem. Now, speaking of Wat Tambor and his med pack tech that he's given to Kylo Ren, we got to talk just a little bit about the mods. Supreme Leader Kylo Ren comes with a massive health pool. So one thing I do with my Supreme Leader Kylo Ren is, firstly, I mod him for a good offense set. We get him offense on the primaries, but you want to also give him a health set and a health circle, because Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, you want to make sure is going to survive as long as possible and getting the most benefit out of that tech, the med pack tech, because he's going to keep stacking his health and protection recovery. And if he has a big health pool already at the beginning, he's going to be able to keep regenerating a good chunk of that. 5% of about 140,000 base health before the mastery stats kick in, the mastery bonuses kick in. That is a lot of health. So you're going to get a crazy amount of it. And that's why I found it to be the best, because we know the blast tech open mod, you gain turn meter, and you're just going to lose your max health and protection. And in solos, you need survivability. You need the durability to stand the test of time. And the shield generation, shield generator back to it, didn't really seem all that helpful. You have to wait till you take a turn, then you regain protection. Protection's not a big aspect of Supreme Leader's Kylo's kit. It's more the health that matters. And the debuffs that get applied to him, they aren't, maybe it might help you with those ability blocks, but from what I've seen, it's incredibly important simply to have the opportunity to get the constant health and protection, because they're going to take a bunch of turns, and you want to make sure every turn that's being taken, you're increasing your survivability. And now we kind of wrap it up at the end. Supreme Leader Kylo up against himself. I had no problem soloing all these other teams that we saw in the video here, but Supreme Leader Kylo can't solo himself. And the main problem is there's so much damage output, so much single fire damage, and coming from Supreme Leader Kylo, the opposing team, that no matter what tech I gave, whether blast tech with mod or the med pack, seemed to not make an incredible difference. But regardless, without being able to solo the Supreme Leader Kylo himself, I think this is fantastic. I made a video kind of similar to this in regards to Enfys Nest and what she can solo in the game. And that's actually a decently viewed video when I go back in retrospect and check it out. I think it's incredibly important because Rey is kind of stealing the show away from everybody right now. If I had to pick, Rey would be the character I would choose, but with this new game mode coming out, which sounds to be like a lot of PvE marathon type of stuff, you might want to have Supreme Leader Kylo. I actually enjoy Supreme Leader Kylo more inside of the territory battles. We know, I showed you, Kylo Ren is the first character to enable you to solo the heroic Sith raid. So point being, if you have Supreme Leader Kylo, I know it feels a little bit bummy that Rey's a little bit more of the challenging character and the more difficult character to beat right now, but Supreme Leader Kylo has such a massive toolkit and such a high ceiling, technically, I guess a limitless ceiling, that you might want to look into him if you're looking to kind of take your solo game to the next level. So that's going to be the video for today, ladies and gentlemen. This footage has been sitting in my inbox for so long right now, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just finally get this video out today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. I think it's kind of fun seeing the full potential of someone's raw, untamed power in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, and Supreme Leader Kylo Ren has a lot more raw, untamed power when it comes to the solo viability compared to Galactic Legends Rey. Like if you did enjoy the video, comment down below on all your beautiful thoughts, and be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing here at the Galactic Empire. And I'll see all you lovely people in the next video. Where's Gary and Larry? Too busy renovating the Star Destroyer. All right, guys, see you later. Peace out.